Thank you very much for joining us today. It's great to see so many people that are interested in learning more about the Target Gender Equality Program. For those of you who don't know me or who have maybe only communicated with me over email, my name is Brittany Gadavekis, and at Global Compact Network Canada, I am the lead for social sustainability. So in this capacity, I will be managing the Target Gender Equality Program. So I'm very excited to be here with you today to tell you more about what the program entails, some of the logistical information that you might need to know if you're considering participating in the program, and answer any questions that you might have at the end of this presentation. Before I get started in earnest, I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge that although this webinar is virtual, we're joining together today across Canada on land that has been inhabited by Indigenous people from the beginning. I personally am coming to you today from the traditional territory of the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nations, the Anishinaabe Nation, the Huron-Wendat, and the Haudenosaunee Confederacy. It's a really beautiful day here today, so I'm really glad that you took some time out of your day to join us for this presentation. So during this session today, I would like to, there we go, provide an overview about who Global Compact Network Canada is, what the UN Global Compact is, and our work to advance Sustainable Development Goal number 5, which is achieve gender equality and empower all women and girls. From that point on, I'll move on to provide an overview of the Target Gender Equality Program and discuss all the key details that you need to know. There'll be a lot of information coming your way. And then I'll open up the floor for any questions you might have about the program or anything I've discussed here today before I wrap up and talk about next steps. So like I said, I'll be delivering a lot of information as it is an informational webinar. So hopefully all of your questions will be answered as the presentation goes on. You're welcome to leave questions in the chat. But if they are related to logistics of the program, I will likely cover them throughout the presentation. If there's anything I've missed or if there's anything that's unclear, please feel free to put your questions in the chat and we'll loop back to them at the end of the presentation if anything hasn't been addressed or if there's still outstanding questions. We will also be circulating this presentation via email to you at the end of the session today. And within that email, there'll be some key links to our webpage, to the sign up page, and the slides will be included in the email, a link to the slides in the email. So all of this information will be forwarded to you so that you can use it to evaluate participation in the project and share it with anybody within your organization who might want to learn a little bit more or who maybe couldn't attend this webinar today. So keep your eyes out for that email after this session is done. You'll also see my contact information on the side of this slide. It has my email, but we'll also drop that into the chat for you at the end of the presentation. And it'll be included in that email that we're sending afterwards as well. So you can reach out to me at any point in time. If you don't want to leave a question in the chat, I'd also be happy to answer any questions over emails or set up any calls about the program. So because this is an informational webinar, we're sort of pulling from a range of different individuals across Canada. Some of you may know Global Compact Network Canada. You might be members of our local network or the UN Global Compact. But for others, this might be the first time you've encountered us. So I just want to make sure everybody is operating with the same information and that you're aware of Global Compact Network Canada. So who is Global Compact Network Canada? We are the Canadian chapter of the United Nations Global Compact, the world's largest corporate sustainability initiative, which supports companies in meeting fundamental responsibilities in 4 areas, or 4 key areas: human rights, labor, the environment, and anti-corruption. Global Compact Network Canada assists Canadian organizations with the advancement of the 10 principles of the UN Global Compact and the implementation of the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. In doing so, Global Compact Network Canada unifies and builds the capacity, of the Canadian private sector to embrace sustainable business practices by convening and accelerating opportunities for multi-stakeholder collaboration. We're a very busy team with a lot on the go, so I do encourage you to check out our full schedule of initiatives and programs for this year. There's really something for everyone interested in all facets of sustainable development. So you can see all that information on our website. You can also see an icon of the Sustainable Development Goals on this slide here, all 17 of them, and how they relate to those 4 key areas that I outlined before. So, Sustainable Development Goal number 5, achieve gender equality and empower all women and girls, has always been a priority for Global Compact Network Canada. We know that gender equality factors into every single one of those SDGs that you saw on the previous slide, and that gender equality is a factor in reaching a number of different social targets, including reducing poverty and inequalities, ensuring decent work, good health and well-being. It also impacts how we address climate action, consumption, and how we foster peace, justice, and strong institutions. We also know that gender equality, diversity, and inclusion is a key priority for many Canadian companies, and we're here to help. Global Compact Network Canada is committed to supporting business communities to take meaningful action to generate measurable impact and achieve sustainable outcomes to advance gender equality across the workplace, the marketplace, and community. So with this in mind, in 2018, Global Compact Network Canada applied for and received funding from the Department for Women and Gender Equality to implement a 3-year project in collaboration with private sector organizations and advisory partners. And I think a number of these participating companies and advisory partners are on this call, which is absolutely wonderful to see. Global Compact Network Canada has a great cross-sector network working together to advance gender equality, which is one of the reasons why we're so excited to offer Target Gender Equality this year. But going back to the project, which was called Gender Equality Leadership in the Canadian Private Sector, we were pleased to officially conclude the project in December 2020 with the launch of a set of tools designed for use by any organization or any individual looking to advance gender equality in the workplace. We unveiled these tools, including a blueprint for gender equality, a maturity model self-assessment questionnaire, and a resource database at Business for Gender Equality, a high-level virtual forum that brought together a wide variety of stakeholders and provided a venue to pause and reflect on the status of gender equality in Canada in the wake of COVID-19's disruptions. The recordings from this forum are available on our website, so you should take a look when you get a chance if you're interested. There's some great content and conversations, which in many cases relate directly to Target Gender Equality and its key objectives. You can also see my colleague Malvina has plugged in a link to the Blueprint for Gender Equality and the Maturity Model, which are available on an interactive website. So we encourage everyone, no matter what company you work for, no matter what job you hold, or where your company is when it comes to advancing gender equality, we encourage you to consult the blueprint and to learn more about how to embed gender equality into your business's core. So Malvina is helping me out by dropping those links, so keep an eye out for anything that she shares throughout this presentation. So the reason why I'm bringing up this previous work that we've done on gender equality is because you can see Global Compact Network Canada has a very strong background in working with private sector companies to advance gender equality. So with that in mind, we were very excited to offer Target Gender Equality to our network this year. So I'd like to change slides and discuss Target Gender Equality in a little bit more detail. What exactly is Target Gender Equality? TGE, as it's often abbreviated, is an accelerator program designed to support companies in setting and achieving ambitious corporate targets for women's business leadership and representation. The program is one of UN Global Compact's Global Impact Initiatives, often abbreviated as GIIs. And these aim to generate behavioral change across a large number of companies at the local level. In this case, that means at the national level, Canada, to achieve maximum impact and scale. Target Gender Equality runs annually for one full year. It starts in March of 2021 and it runs until March of 2022. And this is the first year that Global Compact Network Canada is offering the Global Impact Initiative. It is the second year that UN Global Compact is running the initiative across its local networks. And Canada has signed on for this second round. So I would like to play a video for you, but I just need to make sure the sound is working. So give me 1 second.
As the Secretary General has said, gender equality is the greatest human rights challenge of our time. At home, in the economy, in society, women lack equal opportunities and access to economic participation, to health, to finance, to skills and networks, and to technology. When women are included in decision-making roles, organizations perform better, including in terms of environmental, social, and governance indicators.
Research shows us that companies still have a long way to go when it comes to equity in leadership. The proportion of women in senior management globally has remained at only 29%, while 47% at the entry level. More and more today, companies understand that focusing on gender equity and women's advancement will help them succeed financially and in attracting and retaining the best talent.
UN Global Compact launched Target Gender Equality to flip the conversation and deliver the outcome we want to see: equality between women and men. Target Gender Equality helps companies move from commitment to action. The program guides companies to set ambitious targets, starting with women's representation and leadership in business. And it provides them with the knowledge, the network, and the practical business examples that they need to achieve those goals. Through performance analysis, capacity building, and peer-to-peer learning, participating companies can identify the policies and the processes and the interventions that are really needed to create equal opportunities for women and men in the workplace. This goes from tackling the gender pay gap, addressing unconscious bias in hiring practices, all the way to rethinking how employers can support women and men as caregivers.
We joined Target Gender Equality because we wanted to learn from others, share our experiences, and explore ideas that would help us to develop a plan to improve equal representation in our business.
Through this program, we have learned a number of things. But one thing I would like to highlight here is the significance of diversity and inclusion in the workplace and how it actually helps to bring about harmony and fair treatment for all.
We believe that a diverse and inclusive environment are fundamental for economic and social growth. Through the program, we have strengthened our diversity and inclusion committees in our regions, and we'll continue reinforcing current practices and identify areas in which we can most further innovate to strengthen gender equality.
As a result of the inspiration that we've gained and the learnings we've picked up from other organizations while sharing our learnings, we've created a very strong plan over the next few years to move Unilever Sri Lanka to a gender-balanced organization where we have 50% men and women.
Throughout the program, we've learned that setting targets is key to realizing ambitions. What gets measured gets managed. So by setting ambitious goals, we're able to track the improvements we make over time.
One of the most important features of the Target Gender Equality program is that it is delivered at the country level by Global Compact local networks. This means that the conversations are contextualized. we can focus in on the challenges that are most pressing to companies in our country while still offering access to global learning and engagement opportunities.
In Brazil, the TG is running in partnership with UN Women. And since the day one, we are planning all activities, company engagement together.
And in Spain, we're working closely with the Women's Institute from the Spanish government and the COE, Spanish Confederation of Business Organization, both within Target Gender Equality Global Coalition.
We are proud, as a result of our participation in this program, we have actually embarked in the process of setting some practicable targets and chalk out key actionable items.
We are in a decade of action. There's absolutely no time to waste. We must act quickly and act intentionally to target gender equality.
Okay. So I really like that video because it provides an overview of the program, but you also are getting some testimonials from companies that have already participated in one full round of Target Gender Equality. So you can see the different local networks that were running it last year, like Spain, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, the UK. And then you also get the companies that participated, some of the goals that they set. So you can kind of see how it's all wrapping up together. So let's dive into Target Gender Equality. Let's talk some logistics. How does Target Gender Equality work as a program? Target Gender Equality helps companies deepen their implementation of the Women's Empowerment Principles. These are commonly called the WEPs. Some of you might be aware of them. Some of your companies might even have signed on to the Women's Empowerment Principles. So it helps companies deepen their implementation of these principles and strengthen their contributions to goal 5.5 of the Agenda for Sustainable Development through a number of tailored activities and opportunities for collaboration among the cohort of participating companies. So these activities, very broadly speaking, include facilitated performance analysis, capacity building workshops, action dialogues, which are multi-stakeholder events. And throughout the program, there are opportunities for advocacy and awareness raising. So you can see those 4 boxes at the bottom, and we'll do a little bit of a deeper dive into what each one of those activities includes in a few minutes. But before we get too deep into that, I do want to go over the eligibility requirements because this is a UN Global Compact Global Impact Initiative, which means that there are certain eligibility requirements that companies need to be aware of. The first being that this is a program for companies. You can be an SME, you can be a large corporation, but right now this program is only offered for companies in the private sector. To participate in Target Gender Equality, an organization must also be a signatory or participant of the UN Global Compact. If you're unsure of your company's status, you can check actually online on the UN Global Compact website, but you can also reach out to Global Compact Network Canada and we can provide you with a little bit more information about what this process looks like or whether or not you are in fact one of those levels, a signatory or participant. I would like to say though, if you know for sure that your company is not a part of the UN Global Compact, I want to encourage you to take this opportunity to take your interest in Target Gender Equality and use it to learn more about the benefits of joining the UN Global Compact or engaging with Global Compact Network Canada. Like I said a little bit earlier, Target Gender Equality is just one of those, one of the many initiatives that UN Global Compact offers, and there are so many different projects and ways to engage. It's a really meaningful way to demonstrate to all your stakeholders, internal and external, your commitment to sustainability and responsible business conduct. The process of joining is fairly straightforward. So if you are interested in participating in Target Gender Equality and you're not a signatory or participant of the UN Global Compact, please reach out to me and I'd love to have a conversation with you about what this would entail and how to go about it. The second eligibility requirement is a commitment to strengthening corporate target setting and action to increase women's representation and leadership in business. It doesn't matter if you're just beginning to consider gender equality initiatives or if you're a leading expert in the field, as long as you are committed and willing to act on that commitment, you meet the criteria. The third bullet point that you'll see there is the ability to appoint 2 representatives to take part in program activities and 1 executive level ambassador to follow program developments, provide support where necessary, and participate in high level events. So actually on the sign up form, you do have to name who these 2 representatives would be and the 1 ambassador. Like I said, the 2 representatives are the ones who are doing the program activities. They're taking part in the workshops, and they're the ones that are really driving the participation in this program. The time commitment for the executive is minimal. We know that leadership buy-in is incredibly important, but we also understand that there's a lot on the plate of executives. So their time commitment is minimal, aside from staying up to date on the program progress and participating in some high-level speaking engagements if they choose to do so. That's sort of the role that we see the ambassador taking on in this program. And the last item to point out here for eligibility requirements is that depending on your membership status in the UN Global Compact, a nominal local network fee may apply to your participation in Target Gender Equality. So as you're signing up or considering signing up, this is also something that we can discuss and communicate exactly what that fee would be depending on what your status is. So one of the pieces of the puzzle when it comes to advancing gender equality in the private sector, which can be very helpful to be aware of, is this sort of duality of a business case for gender equality mixed with a moral case for gender equality. And Target Gender Equality was built on the premise that advancing women to leadership roles or positions of power is both a business and a moral imperative. So time and time again, research report after research report demonstrates that having more women, especially those from underrepresented groups or with intersectional identity factors, having more women in executive roles, serving on boards of directors or in senior management positions, leads to greater business and financial performance, a better corporate reputation, increased innovation, stronger stakeholder relations. The list goes on and on and on. There's also a correlation between women's business leadership and better ESG and CSR performance, which is really good news when it comes to achieving the Sustainable Development Goals, especially as we find ourselves in the decade of action working towards the 2030 agenda. In today's context, which is dominated by COVID-19, there's no way to really get around it. We also know that women are bearing the brunt of the pandemic disproportionately. When it comes to actually looking at women in the private sector, TGE, one of the points that TGE is trying to address is that women who would typically be next in line for executive or senior management positions have dropped out of the labor market at very high rates, which indicates there may be a gap when it comes to women's representation following the pandemic. There is a lot of research going into what happens when women leave the labor market and how re-entry to that market, it can be incredibly complicated. So this is definitely one of the activities that the concerns that TGE is looking to address, and it's a very pertinent concern in this day and age. And as important as the business case for gender equality is, we also want to reiterate that women's rights in the workplace, the marketplace, and the community are human rights. In the case of the workplace, companies must ensure that they provide equality of opportunity, treatment, and are actively working to dismantle systemic barriers and eliminate all discrimination. So TGE is working with companies to do this as well. Last year, like I mentioned earlier, was the first year that UN Global Compact offered the program. And over 300 companies across 19 countries participated. And this had an impact on over 8 million employees from SMEs, national companies, and multinational companies. You can see the exact breakdown on the slide. This year, where UN Global Compact is building on that first year project success, and over 45 companies or 45 countries have signed up to offer target gender equality, including Canada, which means the scale of the program is absolutely massive this year, and the anticipated impact is going to be a lot larger as well, which is very exciting. You can see the country cohorts for this second round of target gender equality, and you can see Canada is in really good company. There's lots of different countries across the world that are offering target gender equality, which is also nice if you are a multinational company, because you can join target gender equality in multiple countries, providing the country is listed here as participating in target gender equality. It's a really great way to align your gender equality strategy across your business segments, across different headquarter offices, different international markets, and to see sort of some of the country differences. Some of the challenges that we have in Canada to advancing gender equality in the private sector might not necessarily be the same challenges or on the same level as advancing gender equality in a different country. So while there is a global cohort of countries offering target gender equality, the material that if you were to participate that you would be receiving and the learnings would be specifically tailored to Canada. We actually take the content of target gender equality and make sure that it's extremely relevant to Canadian companies. It's reflecting the Canadian context. So you are part of a global cohort, but it is very specifically tailored for Canadian audiences. So let's dive a little bit deeper into the program activities. The first activity that companies would be completing if you were to take part in the program is the facilitation of the Women's Empowerment Principles Gender Gap Analysis Tool. It's a little bit of a mouthful. The Women's Empowerment Principles, which I mentioned a little earlier, were established by UN Global Compact and UN Women. And they're a set of 7 principles that encourage companies to look across their business, understand their responsibilities, and seize opportunities for positive impact. They're informed by real-life business practices, as well as international labor and human rights standards, and they're grounded in the recognition that businesses have a stake in and a responsibility for advancing gender equality. So like I said before, they're commonly called the WEPs, and the WEPs Gender Gap Analysis Tool, which is the actual activity within the program, is a user-friendly, strictly confidential online platform comprising 18 multiple choice questions that help companies to assess current policies and programs, excuse me, highlight areas for improvement, and identify opportunities to set future corporate goals and targets. So the first activity is the facilitation of this gender gap analysis tool. So Global Compact Network Canada will work with each company that signs up to participate in target gender equality to complete the WEPs Gender Gap Analysis tool, so that every single company participating in target gender equality has a baseline understanding of where they stand in terms of advancing gender equality. And this includes what they can improve on over the course of the TGE program, but also what they're doing really well. We find that a lot of companies might not think that they have any initiatives or any practices or policies or programs in place for gender equality, but when we get down into it, a number do. So this will also help companies realize, what they can build upon, what's already going really well. That is the first activity. The second activity is a series of 3 capacity building workshops. And this is really the bulk of a company's participation in target gender equality. So these are the activities that take up the most amount of time and that require the most amount of participation. So these workshops will be facilitated by Global Compact Network Canada and a leading gender equality expert, and they comprise, they're set about 2 months apart from one another. So there are 3 of them spread out over the course of 6 months. The subjects for the workshops are what you can see on the right-hand side. The first subject is setting targets and defining ambition. This workshop sort of delves into why representation for women and diverse individuals matter, why targets are an effective tool, what an ambitious target is, how to get leadership buy-in, some of those very fundamental questions that companies need to know when they're preparing to build a gender equality strategy or set targets. The second workshop is entitled Strategies for Success, Removing Barriers for Advancement, and Taking Effective Action. Some of the themes of this workshop are what are the main barriers preventing advancement and how can companies best tackle these challenges? You'll learn about examples of strategies that have been proven to work or have been proven effective, different methods for promoting inclusivity, and key actions to engender systemic change. The final workshop is Measuring and Communicating Progress. This workshop delves into the importance of transparency and accountability. We find that this is often a key piece that is missing when companies begin to look at gender equality. They sort of hide the data, they hide the initiatives, and nobody really knows what's happening, which can be problematic. This workshop also looks at what data and metrics are important and how to track, measure, and use this information. So because these 3 workshops are the bulk of the activities, like I said, I want to just go into them in a little bit more detail so that everybody is clear about how they function, what they entail, and that sort of thing. The first point is that all companies that are participating in target gender equality in Canada will virtually attend these workshops, which does allow for great representation across Canada, which is one of the perhaps positive side effects of COVID, is that everything is virtual now. So we can have a larger cohort, we can have companies from all across Canada interacting and engaging in peer-to-peer learning with one another. So we do encourage applications from all different types of companies, different industries, different sizes, different operations and business lines, and at different places in their gender equality journey. These 3 workshops are also, like I said, they're spaced out 2 months between each workshop, but the actual workshops themselves are approximately half days in length. Between 3 hours, maybe 4 hours for some of the heavier ones. There is minor homework, as they call it, to complete in the form of an action planning guide, which will help your company reflect on the workshops and apply key learnings to your specific company context. So once you participate in a workshop, you go back with the action planning guide and you kind of digest some of that information and apply it to your company. That said, the time commitment, aside from actually attending the workshops, is not heavy. You're really at the workshop to learn, so there's not a lot of preparation that you need to do. You need to just show up and be ready to really digest that information. The other important point about these workshops is Global Compact Network Canada nor the UN Global Compact we will not tell you what targets you must set. We understand that each company is unique and operates in a different context with different goals and different realities. During these workshops, we'll work with you to understand what a reasonable but ambitious target is, how your company can work towards achieving these goals and other strategic objectives, and how to build on progress and momentum to continue to move the dial forward. And I'd also like to point out that a lot of people think about targets as only relating to representation figures, but we also want to emphasize that targets can be related to process. They can be related to other elements within your business aside from just strict representation numbers. And that's something that the program goes into in a little bit more detail. Once the content of these workshops has been expertly designed by Catalyst. A lot of you may be familiar with Catalyst. They're an absolutely fantastic company based out of North America and Canada and Europe a little bit, I believe. So they have created this workshop material, which is absolutely excellent. But what GC&C does is we take the bulk of this material and we tailor it to be a little bit more specific to the Canadian context, so that companies can engage with it, so that we can talk about Canada more generally and we can build to make systemic change across Canada. So in that sense, if your company has absolutely no targets or gender equality goals in place, and you're just beginning to consider how to improve equality, diversity, and inclusion in your organization, Target Gender Equality is a great way to kickstart action. These workshops will introduce participants to the latest research supporting why companies should matter about women's representation and leadership, and they'll help companies generate concrete action plans to set and meet these established targets unique to their company context and performance. At the same time, if your company already has targets or gender equality goals in place and is well versed in improving gender equality, diversity, and inclusion, Target Gender Equality will still provide your company with an excellent opportunity to engage with experts who can help you better meet these goals, or even troubleshoot if you find that you're stalled or progress is a bit slow. It'll also allow you to assume a leadership role in peer-to-peer learning and improve target setting and measurement through additional tracking and accountability mechanisms. The workshops will also help leading companies uncover strategies to fast forward progress towards existing targets, with the aim of inspiring greater ambition in Canada and corporate alignment with the global goals and stakeholder expectations. It's a great platform for companies at any place in their gender equality journey to share their experience and showcase any progress made. Just a brief word on confidentiality. These workshops, as well as all TGE activities, discussions, and resulting data, will be kept confidential. Global Compact Network Canada will promote the program, and your company is welcome to share details about your participation, but we will not be sharing any sensitive information. In addition, while we encourage transparency and external reporting, your company is under absolutely no obligation to publicly communicate a specific target after participating in this program. We recognize that every single company is different, and while some may be ready to publicly announce new targets upon the completion of the Target Gender Equality program, for others it might take a little longer to formulate your next steps and to get that buy-in to really move the dial forward. So there is no pressure to share any of your details or to have that hard target set in place and publicly communicated at the end of the program. Throughout the year and throughout your company's participation in Target Gender Equality, there are also additional promotional and learning opportunities. You'll be invited to a LinkedIn group where you can network with your peers and share resources, best practices, that sort of thing. Global Compact Network Canada also holds an annual sustainability forum, which has speaking opportunities for participating companies. And in the past, last year's cohort of Target Gender Equality companies were asked to participate in certain UN initiatives. For example, the United Nations Summit on Human Rights in Business, that sort of, events that overlap with the content of Target Gender Equality. At the end of March, there is also the opportunity to participate in Target Gender Equality Live, which is a new event hosted by the UN Global Compact. This year's the first iteration of Target Gender Equality Live actually just happened, and it brought together over 4,000 people from across the world. And any companies that were participating in Target Gender Equality were able to discuss their involvement in the program and share any of the learnings that they were able to pick up from participating. So the goal is to have that same forum next year. And if you participate in Target Gender Equality in Canada, you would be welcome to attend and also to have any sessions at the event. The final activity for Target Gender Equality is an action dialogue. These action dialogues bring together the participating companies, business executives, government, civil society, NGOs, and any other relevant stakeholders to forge partnership to advance gender equality and discuss what's next to achieve the global goal number 5. We know that achieving gender equality is a massive objective that requires the collaboration and collective action of everyone to make meaningful progress. These action dialogues are intended to accelerate the pace of change and inspire forward-looking action. It's a really great place for your company to announce any new corporate targets, goals, or key learnings that came out of your Target Gender Equality participation. So how can we sum up Target Gender Equality? What are the benefits? What can you take up the flagpole to leadership to get them to buy into the program? What can you communicate to your peers about why this program is valuable? We have a few bullet points conveniently to discuss that you can take to discuss. The first benefit is you will be able to confidently set ambitious and realistic corporate targets for gender equality, which demonstrates your commitment and your action to your commitment to gender equality and concrete action that you've taken. And this information can be shared with your employers, investors, and other stakeholders. The second benefit is it helps your company understand current gender equality performance through the facilitated use of the Women's Empowerment Principles Gender Gap Analysis tool. While your results from the completion of this tool will be used during the Target Gender Equality program, you can do whatever you want with those results. You can use them to inform your broader business strategy and any other initiatives that you have. So it's a great exercise in itself, the completion of that self-assessment. You can also engage in accelerated learning opportunities specific to the Canadian context. At the same time, you can build a network of peers, UN partners, and experts to support the creation or development of your organization's gender equality strategy and work collectively to tackle persistent barriers to gender equality. We know the more companies across Canada that are participating in programs like this or that are completing actions to advance gender equality, the more likely that we can engender systemic change. And last but not least, you can showcase women leaders and male allies in your company who are driving business success and sustainability. We encourage the participation of men in Target Gender Equality program because gender equality is meant to benefit everybody, and that includes men, women, gender non-binary, and gender fluid people. We cannot do this alone, and that is why Target Gender Equality is supported by a number of international partners in the form of a global coalition. You can see some of these amazing companies here. For any nonprofit that is on the line or NGO, we do welcome inquiries from Canadian nonprofits or NGOs or relevant organizations about joining this dynamic coalition. So if you are interested, then please reach out to me and I can have a conversation with you about this global coalition, which is a little bit separate from participation in the actual program. So that's sort of the big overview of Target Gender Equality, what the program entails, and a little bit more information about how it plays out. But I would like to give you a visual timeline of how this all comes together. So here you can see that we are currently in the recruitment phase. So recruitment will last until May 31st. So there's a few more months to sort of get your ducks in a row and figure out what you need to do to formally sign up for this program. We understand that because you might, as a company, you might need to join the UN Global Compact. And there is a formal sign-up process on the UN Global Compact's website to participate in this program. We want to give you a window to get that work done and to make that decision before the program activities start. So we're in recruitment and it'll close on May 31st. The first activity is the performance analysis, which is the completion of the Women's Empowerment Principles Gender Gap Analysis tool. And we provide sort of a few months for companies to complete this questionnaire. So between June and August, your company will have time to complete this questionnaire. We will provide an onboarding webinar once all companies are confirmed participating at the beginning of June, and we'll go over what the WEPS entails, how your company can complete this, this assessment tool, and Global Compact Network Canada will help you complete it in any way that we can. You must complete this assessment tool before any of the workshops. So by the end of August, the self-assessment needs to be done. Following the self-assessment, you'll see the biggest red block there, which is the capacity building workshops, the 3 capacity building workshops. So they're spaced out over the course of 2 months per workshop between September and February. Though all of these dates are to be confirmed once we have our cohort of companies, but the way it would typically work is there would be a workshop in September, November, and either January or February. And the final activity is the action dialogue. The action dialogue is, it would only be typically maybe a 2-hour event. However, because it is a multi-stakeholder event, we do have a broad range of dates that it could fall into, anywhere between December and February, because we do want to have government attendance. We want to have nonprofit, NGOs, the company attendance. So it does take a little bit of coordination, which is why we have a bigger window there. So you can see all these activities coming together. We're just closing March right now, and we'll be recruiting until the end of May. And then there's the full course of program activities, which conclude in March of 2022. So there is our full run of activities. And I just want to close before questions by bringing up this quote from Sando Jambo. She's the CEO and executive director of UN Global Compact. And I think she put it very well, very simply, when she said, the evidence is clear. When women are empowered, everybody benefits. And I just want to build on that last point, everybody benefits, to emphasize that Target Gender Equality is designed to be an inclusive program, and it's designed to improve workplaces and the labor market for everyone. Working towards achieving gender equality should improve the lives of every single person in society, men, women, gender non-binary, gender fluid people, but it isn't about just putting people in these tidy little boxes based on their gender identity. Strong gender equality initiatives like the Target Gender Equality Program recognize that women have many intersectional identity factors, obviously race, ethnicity, education, immigration status, age, ability, sexual orientation, the list can go on and on. So Target Gender Equality is built on the premise that the solution to getting more women in positions in power must be intersectional, and it must be designed to break systemic barriers that have prevented women, diverse individuals, and underrepresented groups from equal opportunities and treatment. And with that, I will now turn my attention to the chat to see if there are any questions that are coming in. So if you do have any questions after that information overload that I just provided, please feel free to enter any questions in the chat, and I'll respond to them as I see them popping up. Okay, so I see a question from Adriana. How will the Target Gender Equality Project draw on the Global Compact Network Canada blueprint? It's a great question. So as I mentioned earlier, Global Compact Network Canada developed a whole host of resources that are specific to the Canadian context. So a lot of the learnings and the resources and some of those key recommendations that appear in the blueprint, specifically the transparency and accountability section, which includes chapters on completing a baseline assessment, goal setting, measuring and evaluating and reporting, they will be worked into the actual content of the different workshops, and the resource will be available for companies as they determine their targets, as they set action plans. So they will be sort of incorporated within the broader program material. So that's a great question. What kind of support are companies being provided by Target Gender Equality to target interventions they most need? All of this is sort of dealt with in the actual workshops. So there will be a discussion about how an individual company, maybe some of the challenges that an individual company is faced with, and what they can do to actually embed the solution to those problems within this target setting. So we won't really know how that works until we actually have the companies and we hear what these specific problems are, or these specific challenges. But they are all embedded within the workshops. They're meant to be sort of actionable, where you're supposed to go away from the workshops saying, okay, this is what I learned. This is the challenge my company faces, and this is how I'm going to address this challenge. Okay, bear with me while I go through this. From Laura J. I believe it's so important to address women's inequality, especially now, and showcasing women's ability, which are very similar. I agree, absolutely. The testimonials were motivational. When we will be having the next meeting on target gender equality? So this is the only informational webinar that we will be hosting. The webinar will eventually be posted on our website, so you should be able to refer back to it at any point. But I would be more than happy to have a call with anybody who's interested in maybe talking more one-on-one about the program. So there won't be any other sort of big meetings until the cohort is onboarded in June. Is there a cost to participate if we are members of the Global Compact Canada? This is a great question. Within your value proposition, when you joined Global Compact Network Canada, you will see a cost breakdown for participation in the global impact initiatives. So if you are a member of Global Compact Network Canada, the cost is significantly reduced by, I think it's 25 or 50%. So there is still likely a small cost, but it is significantly reduced from if you were just a member of Global Compact. I see another one. Do companies have to be a signatory to the broader Global Compact in order to participate in the Target Gender Equality Program? Yes, companies must be a signatory or a participant of the United Nations Global Compact to participate in the program. We are more than happy to facilitate that process to help you, to help your company understand what is required to sign to become a member of UN Global Compact. So if you are interested and you're wondering how that works, please feel free to email me and we can get everything set up and provide a little bit more context about that. Are Crown corporations eligible to participate in the program? Yes, that's a good question. I believe Crown corporations are eligible to participate in the program. So we would welcome that application as long as you are a member of UN Global Compact. Can you tell me if UN Global Compact is in any way involved in the Generation Equality Forum? At a local level, UN Global Compact Network Canada is not involved. I'm personally attending the forum and participating. However, UN Global Compact is involved in the program through their collaboration with UN Women. So specifically the forum, the sessions in June, UN Global Compact will be there, and we're just sort of discussing what our participation entails and how we can communicate that to anybody who supports our network. So if you're interested in that, again, please feel free to send me an email and I can keep you in the loop on that participation. Are you able to provide any guidance for companies that want to participate themselves? I'm assuming this is in relation to the Generation Equality Forum. I am not able to provide any guidance. I believe there was a registration process that actually took place a long time ago because the Generation Equality Forum was supposed to happen in 2020. So your best bet would be to reach out to someone from the generation equality and see how companies can get involved aside from just attending the forum individually. Okay, let me see if I missed any questions as we're coming right up to the end of this. I don't think so. If I didn't get to your question, please send me an email. I would be more than happy to chat about this in more detail and to go over anything that maybe was unclear. I know that some of the eligibility requirements are a little bit complicated, so please feel free to message me about that, even if you just want to confirm that your company is eligible. My contact information was in the slide, or it's on the slide, but my colleague also dropped it into the chat there. So thank you very much for attending today. I hope you found the session interesting and informative, and thank you for bearing with me while I divulged all that information to you. You will be receiving an email following this webinar that has the link to the slide, the link to the sign up page, my contact information, all the good stuff that you need to continue the conversation about participating. And remember that recruitment is open until May 31st, 2021. We hope that your company will join us and take bold action to achieve gender equality. Thank you very much for participating, and have a wonderful afternoon or morning if you're on the West Coast. Thank you.